We're both just competing, man, and we're trying to make this team a better football team. And at the end of the day, this team will go as I go, or this team will go as Drew goes. And we want to make sure that we're bringing the right energy each and every day, that we come out on this practice field. We're trying to, get our team, get our unit in the end zone. That's the ultimate goal.
Day 7 of Broncos camp, and we heard from both Teddy Bridgewater and Drew Lock, both appearing very confident as the QB competition roars on.
As a quarterback room in general, including myself, I feel like we've been taking care of the ball. But knowing when the time is there to press it downfield, just being clean, being consistent, knowing where to get to the ball. And I think it has a lot to do with how quick we can get through reads now, how we've seen these plays, how we've seen the defense. We're seeing it better. We know we're protected. And if we're not, we know when we're not. It's just playing better quarterback football.
Hello, and thank you for joining us for Broncos Camp Daily. I'm Phil Milani alongside Eric Dalala and Sydney Jones. Eric, let's start out like we always do with your observations.
Don't sound so upset.
No, I love them. That's why we start with them.
Yeah, well, the big thing on what day is it, Wednesday?
Yes.
On this Wednesday, Phil, was kind of the end of game situation. They had a couple of minutes left, down 7. Quarterbacks had to lead the team down the field. They put some completions together, but at the end of the day, both quarterbacks threw interceptions. A couple different situations there, Phil. Drew Lock kind of got caught between throwing it out of bounds, throwing it in the dirt. Justin Simmons picks him off, and then Registerman Ferris gets Teddy Bridgewater, newly signed guy, 2 picks already. A little bit of a miscommunication there on that one. A couple other smaller observations, Phil. Natani Muti in there for Graham Glasgow on this Wednesday. He looked good. He got a linebacker there.
Strong.
He is. He's almost as big as you, Phil.
Yeah.
And then maybe the play of the day in my mind, Teddy Bridgewater just floated it down the field to Noah Fant, who made a great move to get by the linebacker. Really more on Noah to make that play than anybody. You hope you see a lot of that this fall.
Graham Glasgow not in there today because of a vet day. Same with Von Miller.
Yep.
A couple of vet days. The other play of the day, Sydney, was a one-handed snag by Courtland Sutton.
Yeah, Courtland's been looking good out there. You mentioned that crazy one-handed catch, but he had a couple other plays today too. Even Teddy and Drew mentioned Courtland's performance after practice today, said he's feeling more comfortable out there on his knee, which Teddy would know. Teddy suffered a knee injury back in his 3rd year in the league, I think. The year after he made the Pro Bowl, similar as Courtland.
When he's out there making plays like today, if he's on the ground, we don't want him on the ground, but if he's on the ground making acrobatic catches, if he's, stumbling and going to the ground, honestly, it's building confidence for him. He's going to continue to trust his knee more, and, that's exciting for us.
He's excited to be back out here. I think slowly but surely, and even these past couple of days, you really saw him take off and just I think he's starting to feel a lot more comfortable out here. I don't blame him. That's a tough injury to come back from, especially as a receiver, cutting, changing directions, and I think you saw more of a glimpse of the old Court today, and it's been fun to watch him come back to it.
So Courtland Sutton's starting to look like the Courtland Sutton we all remember from a couple of seasons ago. What about the rest of this wide receiver core?
Yeah, well, I think you talked about the top 4, Courtland Sutton, Jerry Jeudy, Tim Patrick, and KJ Hamler. Those guys are locks. And then after that, you think normally 6 wide receivers make a team, sometimes 5. Deontay Spencer is one guy to keep an eye on. We think he'll probably get a roster spot because of his punt return prowess. Been really good, was a Pro Bowl alternate a couple years ago. But we heard Tom McMahon say maybe KJ Hamler can fight for that job. So it'll be interesting to watch there. And then for that last spot, you've got Tyree Cleveland, who was a draft pick last year. He's injured right now, needs to get back on the field. You draft Seth Williams this year in the 6th round. You'd like to see him do a little bit more. He's made some plays here early in training camp, but he'll be competing. And then Trinity Benson, Phil, Kendall Hinton, a couple of guys who have stood out. It seems like every time we turn around, Trinity Benson is down the field in the end zone very fast. I would kind of keep my eye on those 4 guys to compete for maybe just one spot.
Kendall Hinton, that's the quarterback?
That's the quarterback, the wide receiver, the defensive back. He writes for the website. He does it all.
Do anything, yeah. He might take your job.
I'm counting on it.
Let's talk about the defensive side a little bit here. You mentioned the 2 interceptions at the end of practice today. What about, Sydney, there's a rookie who's keep making plays out there, Caden Sterns.
Yeah, Caden Sterns is a rookie from Texas. He's been playing really well out there. You mentioned a couple picks later in the day today, but he actually had the first pick at camp last week. And even Vic Fangio said today that he's kind of stood out to him as a rookie and said, he's seen some good stuff out there from him. And what better safety duo to learn under than Justin Simmons and Kareem Jackson?
During my draft process and even prior to, When I watched safeties in the NFL, Justin Simmons was one of the ones, just a similar play style. So to come here and watch both of them in real life in action, you can't beat it, and you can only learn from it. And I already learned so much, and I've only been here for a couple months, so I'm excited for this season and just to keep learning and getting better and doing my job.
He's getting there. He's just a rookie. First ever training camp in the NFL going on right now. Let's wrap things up, Eric, with a look at injuries.
Yeah, pretty clean today, Phil. I saw a couple of guys come back. KJ Hamler, who was in COVID protocols on Tuesday, was back at practice. Cam Fleming, with his ankle, was back at practice. And, of course, Kareem Jackson had one vet day. He was back out there, looked good. Like you mentioned before, we had Von Miller and Graham Glasgow receive their own vet day. But for right now, it's pretty much just that same list of guys who have been out. Nothing too serious yet, knock on wood. So hopefully it stays that way.
Yeah, and the Broncos get a day off on Thursday. Just a few more practices to go before they head off to Minnesota for some joint practices with the Vikings. That's going to do it for us. For Sidney Jones, Eric Dalala, I'm Phil Milani. This has been Broncos Camp Daily.